Boko Haram and the Borno 5. I have repeated this tale several times in the past. I shall not tire of recounting it because of its significance. It is a powerful message for governments. It is a true life story that took place when the current Vice President of Nigeria was Governor of Borno State. I visited him in Maiduguri, the state capital, at a time when the city was under the siege of Boko Haram. I went there to sell him the seeds of an idea and to propose a test run. Boko Haram means Western education is forbidden. Insurgents were on a rampage, trying to terminate any romance between the people, particularly the youths, and Western education and culture. Both were considered offensive to their local culture and religion. Young boys and girls were therefore being hounded and routed from schools, and their parents persecuted. The kidnapping of the girls from their dormitory in a secondary school in Chibok, Borno State, was the climax of an odyssey that generated Nigeria's record of having the largest number and concentration of out-of-school children in the world. The figure is put conservatively at between 15 and 18 million Nigerian youths, mostly based in the northeast and northwest of Nigeria, with Borno State as its epicenter. Children were being forced to abandon schooling. They became ready tools for the devil's workshop, easy recruits into the army of insurgents and miscreants, pawns in the societal vices game, the oxygen of joblessness, hunger, poverty, and disease. I sold to Governor Kashim Shettima my humble idea that was already being tested for efficacy in a small laboratory of learning that I had set up to address issues related to the eradication of hunger, poverty, and disease through sport. The goal was to provide young people a smooth and easier path into the lucrative global world of sport, an ecosystem that can impact and empower youths like no other human activity, and can be deployed cleverly to reduce the physical and mental devastation inflicted on the people of Borno State. My idea was interesting to Governor Shettima. He bought it. If it will help in the reduction of illiteracy, which is the mother of hunger, poverty, disease, juvenile delinquencies, joblessness, and so on, then we are good to go. It is a simple deduction. Boko Haram and illiteracy were bedfellows. Tackling illiteracy meant destroying one of the arteries of Boko Haram. That meant increasing education in that society. It was a tough call. Sport must find an inroad into that mix. To promote sport and education successfully became my strategy, a major component of my sponsoring motivation for the establishment of a special institution that would become a litmus test for my theorem. That was the vision that birthed the Segun Odegbami International College and Sports Academy, a place to test the efficacy of sport as a tool that can fight illiteracy to a standstill, amongst many other goals. But how can this work? Sport is the carrot. It is the passion and dream of most young youths to be rich and famous through sport. So, put sport up front to their parents, even in Borno State. Put the children in a safe and conducive environment, far from the distractions of regular hustle and bustle. Feed them with rigorous physical and mental training in sport, and watch a miracle sprout. This can only be achieved and sustained if an institution is established for that purpose. Such an institution already existed. I told the governor he could take a cue from soccer when the experiment I proposed worked and set up a similar institution in Borno State. So we agreed to test it. I asked for 2 students to start the experiment. The state government sent 5 of them to me in soccer. The government paid their fees for the 3 years they were to spend in senior secondary school, having purportedly completed their GS3 class. The children came willingly, not primarily for the academics, but for the sport. They met other students from different parts of the country that were also like them, not for academics, but for sport. The school contained mostly young boys and girls, more interested in pursuit of their sports dream and less interested in the academics. Our challenging responsibility was to gently change that mindset, still to give them all the sport they wanted, but side by side to provide the essential and compulsory academics served a la carte. The academics were a special program designed for children with learning difficulty by experts from the UK, adopted and administered to fit the domestic national educational curriculum in Nigeria. It is an easier learning process. Subjects are delivered more pictorially than usual and are more practical in an environment far from distractions. From ages 10, 11 to 16, 17, they remain in this camp and get indoctrinated in values that guarantee success in sport. Teamwork, friendship, discipline, independent thinking, leadership, service to humanity, and patriotism to country. Now, what was the result of the experiment with the Borno 5? Well, when the students arrived, their sport talent was less than average. They could barely speak the language of instruction, English, and they were 0 in numeracy and most other subjects. They were some of the least qualified of all the students ever recruited into soccer. Yet, it was good for the experiment that followed. They started in SS1 and spent 3 years in that laboratory in Wasimi. 3 of them completed their studies and passed their WAEC exams. 2 of the 5 needed to spend an additional year to be ready to graduate. Meanwhile, Governor Shetima had left office. There was no one to pursue their fees anymore, and they opted for careers in the domestic football league that never went anywhere. Abdul Fattah Mohammed is now 23. He graduated from the University of Maiduguri with a degree in mechanical engineering. He is currently serving in Abuja in the NYSC scheme. Lawal Bukar is a final year HND undergraduate at the Ramat Polytechnic in Borno State, studying computer science. Abdullahi Mohammed is also a final year undergraduate, studying agricultural engineering in the University of Maiduguri, Borno State. Between these 3, we have the living evidence of an effective catalyst in the country to kickstart a revolution on tackling the seemingly intractable issues of illiteracy, job creation, youth empowerment, entrepreneurship, leadership, and patriotism amongst the youth of the country. We can ride on the back of sport and academics to achieve these.